Good morning. Welcome to the First Religious Society Unitarian Universalist in Newburyport, Massachusetts. My name is Lark Madden, and I'm a member of this congregation and coordinator of the Jazz Vesper series here at FRS. We're living in challenging times. Forces press upon us that suggest we best live in fear, separation, and blame. Instead, we choose to come together as a church community, committed to love, peace, and justice. Our core values are authentic connection, courageous action, love, spirituality, and wonder. Our mission and our invitation to all of you is to come as you are, journey together in love, act with courage, transform our world. If you are visiting today or joining us for the first time, we are especially glad that you're with us this morning. As you join us online, there are links you can see to today's order of service. You can find them just below the live stream. Please click on the words "See More" if necessary to see them. If you're watching from our website, there are buttons below the live stream. Every Sunday, we say that it is no small thing that we have gathered. This morning, it is a particularly big thing that we have gathered. So let us give ourselves to it. I welcome one and all to our church and our worship service.
Our call to worship this morning are the words of Reverend Katie Kadrian Morris, entitled "Hoping, Trusting for So Many Things." Two hands gracefully reach upward, palms open and fingers relaxed. Here we have come into this sacred space, quieter now with our readiness, hushed voice, hoping, trusting for so many things, for connection, for communion, for inspiration, for information, for healing, for wholeness, for words, for music, for celebration and consolation. Here we have come into this space, bringing all of who we are. Let us be willing, however we are changed. You are faithfully called to worship. Please join now in saying our chalice lighting words. The words will be shown on the screen. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together. Each week, we also light 2 candles of peace, representing 2 places on earth we lift up and remember as a sacred encounter with our world. There are untold numbers of places on earth that need peace. These 2 we especially hold close in this service and through the week ahead. After each candle is lit, we will speak the words for peace in English, Arabic, and Hebrew. Peace, salam, shalom. And I will read them all and then light them all together. Our first candle this morning is lit for our earth, as we honored the vernal equinox or start of spring yesterday. May this be a season of renewal for our spirits in care for the earth and our neighbors. May it be a time of awakening of our minds to truth, and may it be a time of blossoming courage and conviction to continue to work for peace and justice each day. Peace, salam, shalom. Our second candle this morning will be lit for the stages and the places where female jazz singers and instrumentalists performed, often fighting against gender bias and stereotypes. We honor the gifts and legends of all women, including Billie Holiday, Sarah Vaughan, Ella Fitzgerald, Dolly Jones, V. Red, and Mary Lou Williams. May ours be a time and a place where women and their gifts and talents are received in full measure and acclaim. Peace, salam, shalom. This morning, we will also light a candle of hope and remembrance in recognition of the COVID-19 pandemic, all those who are struggling for economic security, all those fighting for their health, all those who have lost their lives, and those who love them. We will continue to light this candle each time we worship for as long as we live into this worldwide reality.
Please join now in saying our affirmation of faith and singing the doxology. The words are printed in your order of service. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer, to dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God.
From all that dwell below the skies, let faith and hope with love arise. Let beauty, truth, and good be sung through every land by every tongue.
This is the time in our service when the offering will be gratefully received. The generosity of our community is an essential ministry that supports the work of the church to live out our values, mission, and ends, both in Newburyport and beyond. Each week, 50% of the Sunday offering not designated as a pledge goes to a local community partner engaged in important efforts to transform our region. The March Shared Collection will support Pennies for Poverty, which has worked for over 20 years to reduce poverty and its impact on individuals and families in our area. It was founded with the belief that if everyone in the community does a little to help those in need, we can make a difference. There is no paid staff or related expenses. All donations go to our neighbors that need help. In order to make a contribution to the weekly offering, you can use the link that is posted in the chat now. You can also text a contribution by sending the word GIVE FRSUU to the number 73256. And of course, you can always mail a check to the church as well. Contributions from the weekly offering are down significantly this year due to our online worship format, so your generosity is especially appreciated at this time. Thank you.
Langston Hughes was one of the leaders of the Harlem Renaissance, the flourishing of Black culture in New York during the 1920s and 30s. His poetry is often associated with jazz and the blues, which clearly influenced his writing. When describing poetry, Hughes said, "Poetry is the human soul entire, squeezed like a melon or a lime, drop by drop into atomic words. Poets are human beings. Humans must live within their times, with and for their people." This morning, I would like to share with you 3 short lyrical poems by Hughes. The first is titled Demand. Listen, dear dream of utter aliveness, touching my body of utter death. Tell me, oh quickly, dream of aliveness, the flaming source of your bright breath. Tell me, oh dream of utter aliveness, knowing so well the wind and the sun, where is the light your eyes see forever? And what is this wind you touch when you run? The second poem is called Oppression. Oppression. Now dreams are not available to the dreamers, nor songs to the singers. In some lands, dark night and cold steel prevail, but the dream will come back and the song break its jail. And the third is called To You. To you, to sit and dream, to sit and read, to sit and learn about the world outside our world of here and now, our problem world. To dream of vast horizons of the soul through dreams made whole, unfettered, free. Help me, all you are dreamers too. Help me make our world anew. I reach out my hands to you.
Ellington's Queen Suite.
Good morning. I'm Lark Madden, and I'd like to spend a few minutes with you today exploring two related topics. The first is the concept of improvisation as part of a spiritual practice. And the second is the heritage and tradition of Black jazz artists. Intellectual freedom is a fundamental construct of our UU spiritual culture, just as freedom is a key component in musical improvisation. Black artists originated jazz, and it is a fundamental part of our American culture. Celebrating that connection seems appropriate this spring in the wake of last summer's emergence of the Black Lives Matter movement and the recent Black History Month, and as many of us here have recently spent time in a guided study in which we learned about whiteness. So, first to improvisation and spiritual practice. I believe that many of the hallmarks of our UU individual and collective spiritual journeys incorporate the same kind of searching, trying things out, combining ideas, making mistakes, and finding new perspectives and meaning that define improvisation. Here's Cornel West's comment about how it works in jazz. Quote, "As with a soloist in a jazz quartet, quintet, or band, individuality is promoted in order to sustain and increase the creative tension with the group, a tension that yields higher levels of performance to achieve the aim of the collective project. This kind of critical and democratic sensibility flies in the face of any policing of borders and boundaries of blackness, maleness, femaleness, or whiteness." Do you improvise? Of course you do. You're improvising all the time. When a child asks why the birds sing, you improvise. When just the right words won't come to you, you improvise. When your plan goes awry, you figure out a different plan right on the spot, or you solve a problem in an unexpected way, you are improvising. Some folks may think of the word as connoting sloppiness or a haphazard approach, but that leaves out an awful lot of the beauty and the discipline of improvisation. When I look at the back of the order of service and I reread the UU principles, I sometimes think about a jazz chart. You might rightly ask, what is he talking about? But there are many connections. A jazz chart presents a simple collection of musical information: what key you're going to play in, what rhythm you'll use, what the basic chord structure of the tune is, and it contains the simple notes of the melody. In jazz, the melody is called the head. So the chart contains a set of basic instructions, a map to get from the beginning to the middle and then to the end. But it doesn't tell us what instrument to play or how loudly. It doesn't tell us how to feel. It doesn't tell us what to believe in either. And the degree of freedom in a chart is very, very large. It's up to us as players to find our way. One has to observe the basic rules. Don't start playing the head in E flat if the tune is in B flat. We observe the basic structure, and in a group, this is very important so that everyone arrives at the same place in the song at the same time. My friend and sax player Mark Early says, quote, "He who gets lost last wins." That's a joke about improvising. Of course, there really aren't any winners and losers in jazz. So, does that process sound familiar? Improvising doesn't mean being sloppy or shortchanging things, but it does incorporate using a simple set of rules while exploring. Our UU principles are similarly simple sounding: recognition of the divine in all people, embracing diversity and holding up love as a fundamental and fear-conquering power. There's no creed, no assumption of authority other than the covenant held by the congregation, no sin-driven set of expected obediences. Instead, we have a large, pretty much unrestricted, safe, and intellectually flexible place for each of us to come and to try to find that which helps us connect and helps us grow and helps us make us more whole. It's a place where we can just listen, where we can lead, we can start something up, or we can join in. When a jazz ensemble plays, there are rules of musical and artistic etiquette. It is often the quintessential democratic team experience. Don't interrupt another solo. Turn up your ears, not your volume. Respect each other's contribution. Be wholly and committedly present. Hold each other up. I like that one a lot. When jazz giant Chick Corea, who has 23 Grammys, died recently, listen to what another artist named John Mayer said about him. Quote, "Nobody was more open, more finely tuned to the moment, changing his approach with every new offering by the musicians around him. If you hit a wrong note, he'd immediately pick it up and play it as a motif, so as to say, all of this has value, whether you see it or not." He's talking about a mistake. Chick would embrace it as a valuable moment. What a wonderful example of generous musical spirituality. Could we think about our own and others' mistakes in this way? My brother-in-law has a wonderful bumper sticker on his truck. It says, "Oh no, not another learning opportunity." How do we here support each other's own spiritual explorations? In jazz improvisation, the concept of combining disparate ideas to form a new one is common. Not to get too musically wonky, but one of the basic skills a jazz player must learn is the proper use of scales: diatonic scales, chromatic scales, whole tone and diminished scales, and more. To me, each scale represents a musical opportunity. It's a tool with which to express an idea. Some scales naturally sound better over typical jazz chord changes. Some create tensions, some are soothing, some are very familiar, and others sound very strange. It was Charlie Parker who blew apart traditional improvisation by using scales in a wholly new way. Nothing in jazz has been the same since. Knowing your scales and recombining them to create something new seems directly parallel to the way we invite each other to learn about the history and tenets of the world's religions, and to take disparate concepts from Christianity, from the Buddha, from the Transcendentalists, and from Islam and Judaism to try to grow and learn. There are many degrees of freedom in our approach, bounded and supported by our UU principles. In our church, nothing is fully explained. The answers to the big questions are not delivered. And we take seriously the idea of being present to each other and being open to new spiritual learning. In the context of learning from jazz, that seriousness feels very appropriate and important for another reason. Jazz was and is an art form that came from Black American experience and culture. It deserves respect and recognition as an ever-evolving and very American musical institution. Here in not-so-diverse Newburyport, it might seem strange, but to me it's important to hold up Huddie Ledbetter, Howlin' Wolf, Louis Armstrong, Miles Davis, Charlie Parker, Billie Holiday, Duke Ellington and Billy Strayhorn, Wes Montgomery, John Coltrane, Charlie Mingus, Chick Corea, Thelonious Monk, and many other Black and brown American artists. If there was a jazz Mount Rushmore or Valhalla, those folks would be there. This is what Martin Luther King Jr. said in a speech in Berlin in 1964. Please excuse the dated language. Quote, "It is no wonder that so much of the search for identity among American Negroes was championed by jazz musicians. Long before the modern essayists and scholars wrote of racial identity as a problem for a multiracial world, musicians were returning to their roots to affirm that which was stirring within their souls. Much of the power of our freedom movement in the United States has come from this music. It has strengthened us with its sweet rhythms when courage began to fail. It's calmed us with its rich harmonies when spirits were down. And now jazz is exported to the world. For in the particular struggle of the Negro in America, there is something akin to the universal struggle of modern man. Everybody has the blues. Everybody longs for meaning. Everybody needs to love and be loved. Everybody needs to clap hands and be happy. Everybody longs for faith. In music, especially this broad category called jazz, there is a stepping stone toward all of these. So, in closing, remember that spiritual growth can involve a certain kind of improvisation, and that here that is okay. And also remember that jazz and jazz improvisation originates in Black culture. It is very much connected to our long, sad racial history, but also to our greatest moments. Listen to the opening horn chord in Ellington's Sophisticated Lady. It's a transformative and joyful noise. One last thought for your consideration. As you venture forward on your spiritual journey, why not think of yourself and the people of this church as playing and improvising in your band? Thank you.
Lifted up, love bless your way.
Please join now in our unison benediction. May the love which overcomes all differences, which heals all wounds, which puts to flight all fears, which reconciles all who are separated, be in us and among us now and always. My friends, as we leave here this week, may we leave inspired. May we leave soothed. May we leave knowing that we are connected to a music divine, a music that is healing, that is strengthening, that is uniting. May we leave and may we come again in peace. Go, my friends, enjoy and return again in great peace. Amen and blessed be.
1, 2, 3, 4.